the online service thousands of students around the country use to turn in homework, sign up for classes, and take exams has reportedly been hacked.
The University of Nebraska system and Creighton both confirming that they are impacted. Let's get straight to Jacqueline Fernandez at the Alert Center with the latest on this. Jacqueline.
Brian, Aaron, this is no joke. So here's what students are seeing when they try to log in. We'll show you that image for you. When you can see it, when it pops up here, the hack is currently, there it is, preventing some users from accessing it, right? And information like names, student ID numbers, messages between users, and email addresses were involved in the attack. The Chief Information Security Officer of Canvas's parent company, Instructure, tells First Alert 6, though, they have no evidence at this time that any passwords, dates of birth, government identifiers, or financial information were involved. So that's the good news. At this time, the University of Nebraska has not been notified of any direct impact to their campuses, but it is finals week for UNL, so you can imagine the hassle that's creating there. Creighton University, meantime, reporting some similar issues. And this does seem to be a much wider cyber attack than just here in Nebraska. Universities all over the country are in the same boat right now. So really, we're talking thousands of universities, and we'll first alert you to any changes and any updates to the story as it becomes available to us. Brian?
Yeah, the timing could not be worse. Finals already very stressful. Hopefully we get a better scope and perspective later on tonight. Thanks, Jack.